All right, hey, day one for guitar practice. I just finished going through Justin Guitar Module 0 and Module 1 in the Grade 1 category. And I just wanted to talk about it real quick, get my thoughts down. Um, a lot of Module 0 was sort of the main setup. How do you hold the guitar? How do you tune a guitar? That sort of easier stuff. Since I've played a few months, I already knew the majority of that. So went through the only thing that I did note from Module 0, which I'm not even practicing right now, um, is to keep your posture as good as possible. That's just good note for day-to-day life, not just guitar. But I made sure to note that since my posture is notoriously pretty bad. On to Module 1. Um, a few of the big takeaways is that it's important to keep tempo in regards to chords, but in everything. It's important to keep the tempo more than it is important to nail the chords, as you can kind of adjust on the fly. And if you're playing with a band, they won't really notice. And if they do, they may just be like, "Oh, he's adding a little flavor." As long as it doesn't sound terrible, you're fine. Um, so that's that. The next bits that I took away from it are kind of the practice routine. What should I be trying to do before moving on to the next module? Uh, and he nailed it down pretty well. So what I'm gonna try to do is 3 minutes of D chord, and this I should mention this is already pretty easy for me. I already have D memorized and A memorized, but he said do 3 minutes of D chord practice, 3 minutes of A chord practice, 2 minutes of just making sure I keep my anchor finger into this same place and just kind of practice switching between. Then he has another specific exercise called the 1 minute chord changes, where it's pretty much exactly how it sounds. Start a timer. You have 1 minute. Change between chords as many times as you can within that minute. Once the timer runs out, stop and record how many you got. So I plan on doing that. Right now it's only A and D, so it should be pretty simple, and do that 2 times. And then for the last 10 minutes of the daily 20-minute practice, the last 10 minutes are just playthrough songs. On the Justin Guitar website, there are a lot of different recommended songs. You can sort by the difficulty level. So if I just choose grade 1 as the difficulty, it'll just show me, okay, these are all the easier songs. Even beyond that, I can say, okay, I only know A and D. So it'll show me only beginner songs that only use the A and the D chord. Luckily, I'm more experienced than that. I have not every chord under the belt, but I know all the majors and some of the minors, so I might get a little bit fancy with that. But that's my goal for at least this week, to do that 20-minute practice every day. 3 minute D chord, 3 minute A chord, 2 minutes of the anchor finger switching between the two reps of the 1 minute chord changes exercise, and hopefully, I'll talk about it in a second. And the last bit is work on a song for 10 minutes. I don't imagine this is going to be too hard for me. I've gone through a lot of this before, but like I mentioned in day 0, I really want to nail down the basics, the fundamentals, before I try to move on and do other things. So the last note that he made was, okay, when do you stop with Module 1? And he nailed it down pretty concretely this year as well, where if you memorize your D chord and you memorize your A chord, and when you do that 1 minute changes exercise, if you can change between them 30 times or more per minute, those two, and you have just finished a song. I think he just wanted to make sure that you tried and could stay on tempo, or at least tried to stay on tempo. And then I gave myself one last restriction to at least stay on Module 1 for a week. Even if I feel like, oh, I'm nailing this, I can move on right away. I don't want to. I want to make sure I nail this down before moving on. He recommended that if you're brand new beginner, it should take you 2 to 4 weeks to move on to the next module. So I think 1 week of just ingraining these sort of things in my head is beneficial. So that's my thing. I'm gonna do that practice schedule every day until next week, Monday. I will reevaluate by seeing if I've memorized the A and D chord, which I already have, and then if I can do the 30 changes per minute between the two, and if I've finished a song. Like I said, he's named a few crazy easy songs like Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. That was one he highly recommended because it was a beginner level and only had the A and D chords. So I plan on trying that, and it's a classic. Who doesn't love listening to that? So I'm going to try that song, switch between those, do the practice routine. Next week, Monday, I will reevaluate. Hopefully, I will do this again tomorrow, just to talk about the practice, maybe show the chord changes, record it through my Focusrite here just to see how it sounds on the other end. But yeah, that's that. I went through both of those. That took me hour and a half or so. I was playing along as he was talking, but it wasn't like a full practice schedule. It was mainly just going through trying to understand and nail down some things. So tomorrow's when the practice actually begins. Monday I will reevaluate, maybe move on to module 2. Well, I'll be back here again tomorrow. See you then.